guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for November 22nd, 2020. So, this last week was a hard one for me. If you guys saw my vlog, I am going to vlog for at least part of this next week. I have this whole next week off for vacation. But this last week was very hard, not just because I was getting work ready for me being off for a couple of days, but unfortunately last Sunday, my grandmother, my 97-year-old grandmother passed away. And so we've been dealing with that all week, and it's been so hard because I couldn't go help my mother. I couldn't be there for her in a physical way. I had to do everything by the phone. I was not allowed to, do what I normally probably would have if not for what is going on in the world today with the coronavirus. So that was really upsetting, and this week has been really hard. So, it was a hard week. I made it through, because there was nothing I could help with. I still worked all week. I didn't take any time off. I just felt like if I was home, it would have been even worse just because I couldn't do anything for my mom. So, as I said, I spent most of my time on the phone with her when she needed me to. And that was as much as I could help her with. She did a whole lot, and I feel really bad. But we got everything mostly taken care of already this week. We are not doing a memorial until probably next year sometime. Just, we're not even going to think about it. It's just, there's nothing we can do. So, anyway, so this week was really hard on me and our family. So it just, but again, we're not the only ones who go through this. She did get to 97, and she was in fairly good health until nearer to the end, but she, it was unexpected in some ways, but not in others. I don't know how to explain that. Anyway, the point is that it was a hard week. Anyway, so I did read, but not at the beginning of the week because that didn't work. And I didn't write, so my NaNoWriMo has been kind of put on hold, and I haven't done a whole lot on that. So, and again, I had work, but it was more to take my mind off of other things, and it was just, so it was a hard week. Anyway, so I'm just gonna, sorry, I just had to tell you if you hadn't seen the vlog yet. So, anyway, so it was a hard week. Anyway, so I had already taken this next week off. So, so again, it was for Thanksgiving, so that I could go down and help my mom do the Thanksgiving. And then, of course, she canceled the big Thanksgiving for the whole family. And then yesterday, we finally came to a decision that my brother and I are not going to go down to my parents' house. So my parents are going to have Thanksgiving on their own. My brother and I are going to do Thanksgiving up here because he is in my bubble, because I see him, because again, we live in a duplex, so he lives on the other side. So we're going to do Thanksgiving for the first time. So I'm really nervous because I don't cook. I'm not a very good cook at all, and I don't like to do it. But my brother is very much more into it, so he's going to do the turkey. He's already looking up YouTube videos, and my mom has notes and everything. So he's done that. We went and bought a turkey yesterday for that, and we bought some of the stuff we're going to make. I'm going to do more of the side stuff and the dessert. So I haven't decided what I'm doing for dessert because my brother doesn't like pumpkin pie, which would have made it easy. But no, he has to not like pumpkin. Anyway, so I got to come up with something else. Any suggestions? Let me know. Something easy. And not something with chocolate, because I can't have a lot of chocolate. Yeah, anyway. Point is, yeah, it's kind of hard. I can't have chocolate. He doesn't like pumpkin. I don't know what we're going to do yet. I'm thinking apple pie or something. I'm not sure. But I'll come up with something. Anyway, so I'm doing the side-ish things that are all pretty much easy to do. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. It's going to be a long video probably just because of the way I feel. Anyway, so I just wanted to give a catch up on all that stuff. So we'll see how Thanksgiving goes. As I said, I think we made the right decision for our family. So we all discussed it, and we'd all come to pretty much the same conclusion. So it wasn't like I forced them or they forced me or anything like that. It really was, we all were like thinking about it, and then we decided just to not do it. So yeah, so that said, Thanksgiving will be a little weird this year. And of course I have all this time, and I hadn't planned anything because I was going to be down with my parents for at least 3 of those days. And now I'm home with my books and my cats. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I have some vague plans of maybe reorganizing my books. I haven't fully reorganized them in a couple of years. And I am overloaded in some places, but you can't see, but I took out, yeah, it's a couple, I have, you know, done a cull in June, which I normally do. I do another one in December, but I might do it early this year. Not that I can take the books anywhere yet, but I have a whole stack of books I'm going to get rid of, and I thought, well, maybe I can go through and get rid of a few more and then make some space, because I got stacks of books I need to get on the shelf, so now I'm working on that. Anyway, so that's kind of a life update, and this week I don't know what I'm going to do. As I said, I'm going to probably vlog a little bit. I did do that yesterday, and I'm started already today, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so let's get into my books. We'll talk about the books that I finished, the ones I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. Which, again, is always a question mark, isn't it? So, the first book I finished, which, again, I'm pretty sure I was pretty far into, so, but that was Flamebringer by L. Catherine White. This is book 3 in the Heartstone series. So this is, the first book, Heartstone, was Pride and Prejudice with dragons, pretty much. And I love the first book. First book is my favorite of all 3. The second and the third one follow some tropes or some plotting that I recognize in a lot of trilogies. And so it wasn't quite as exciting and as fun as the first book was. I loved the first book because it was a retelling, but twisted with a fantasy element and dragons. It was really good. The first book is still my favorite. It was still one of the best books I read this year. But this one was still fine. It was fine for a good conclusion. It went in ways I did not expect, so I did like that. There was a twist in here that was fairly good. I did enjoy that. But, you know, it's not going to be, it's not to the level of the first book. And I don't know how she could have done it. So, again, the first book could have stand alone on its own, I think, if you find the first book and you can do that. But I liked the continuation. You get to know more about the characters. She was brutal in the end here. I was not expecting that. So, don't expect all your favorite characters to make it to the end. I actually was really surprised. I thought she did really well. I was surprised at the choices she made. But I liked this a lot. I'm glad I finished a trilogy this year. I'm not doing very well with my series this year, which is why it's one of the things on my list for next year's series, because I have a lot of series and I'm not doing very good with either starting or I start them, but I don't always finish them. So this one, I'm glad I read and finished this year. And I'm glad I read this book. I did enjoy the trilogy overall. As I said, it's one of those ones where I might not read the second and third book. Like, again, I'm not positive yet. I haven't decided. Like, again, I'm going to keep them for a little bit. But the first book is so phenomenal. I'll reread that here pretty soon, probably just because I was thinking about rereading it after I finished this. But, again, this took me, pretty much, I would say late into the week before, or like I would say by Wednesday or Thursday before I finished it, just because of the way my mind was going, because I wasn't really reading. And then I got this on Thursday from the library, and I saw this on, what is her new channel name? It's Cathie at the Grimm Reader, I think is. I'll have her listed down below. I can't remember I think that's the name of her. She changed her channel. I can't remember. I'm sorry, Cathie, but I saw this on her, did I see it on her Instagram? I think that's where I saw it. I'm almost positive it was her. And so, or on Twitter. And I was like, I had to get that. So I got it from my library right away. And luckily I got it pretty quickly. So I still got into Nonfiction November. So I got another entry into that. So this is by Sarah Archer. And this is about Japanese culture with their attachment to cats. And it talks about history stuff about when the cats arrived and how it was in their paintings and their, in their, in some of the literature, and how it pops up, and then how they, not everybody owns a lot of cats, but they like cats, and so they're like, there's like cat cafes everywhere, which is hilarious to me, because I mean, I know that they're starting those over here in the US too, but I would love to go to a cafe with cats. I love kitties. Anyway, as I have my 2 boys. So, this is just really cute. So, it's really glossy. A lot of really pretty pictures of cats. It wasn't a super long read. I read this Thursday night. So I pretty much just focused on this. That's probably all my brain power could handle. And it was a good little book. So I actually didn't know it was going to be this small. I thought it would be a taller, bigger book. So there were times where I wish the pictures were a little bigger. But overall, it was a really nice little book. And I'm glad I picked it up and got it from my library. It was a good, quick, and it was an extra nonfiction book that I didn't expect to get to. Because again, this is Nonfiction November, which is put on by abookolive and several other hosts this year. And I'm not doing as well in Nonfiction November this year. And this was before everything that happened this last week. My brain was not into focusing on just nonfiction. And a lot of years I just focus on nonfiction, and then when I'm writing, and it seems to balance out my fiction with writing and reading nonfiction. But this year, it was right away I knew there was a problem. Like, my brain was not going there, and I was in such a fantasy mood, which is why I picked up like Flamebringer, and I picked up another book earlier. So, but I did start one of a nonfiction book in the second week, and that was A Buzz in the Meadow by Dave Golson. So this book I am now just a little bit over halfway. So I would say I read about 40% of this, and then I just put it down because I kept falling asleep when I'd read this when I get home from work. And so I've decided during the week that I'm off here, I'm going to read a chapter a day, usually in the morning, and get this done. It is not boring. This is the part that's hard for me, but there's scientific stuff, and it's not, I mean, it's dummied down, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like I'm struggling to read this. It really is, I mean, it's about bugs, okay? It's about, that kind of thing. And it's not, they're like little essays in a chapter on certain topics. So again, I'm already have trouble with essays and stuff. So, but I like what I'm getting out of it, the stuff I've learned. But for some reason, and it's not, I'm not blaming his writing style, because I love to sting in the tail. And I liked most of this up to, as I said, then it's just, I don't know if it's just, it's not boring, because it's really fascinating. Like yesterday there was a chapter on pollination. A lot of that stuff I knew about pollination. I don't get me wrong, I've read stuff on that. But it was really the visual stuff I got from his descriptions was really great. And it was so good. So I don't know what it is with this. I just can't read this at night. So again, as I said, I'm going to read this while I'm on vacation. I'm going to read a chapter a day. So I should be done hopefully by the end of the week, so that I'm done by the end of the month. But I'm really enjoying it. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, it's just weird how I'm having trouble with that. The other nonfiction book I picked up, that I started yesterday. Well, I kind of started it Friday night. I read the introduction, but then I started the first chapter one, yesterday, and that's Fifth Avenue, 5 a.m., Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffanys, and the Dawn of the Modern Woman by Sam Wasson. So, this is, I don't even remember where I picked this up. I think I just saw it on Amazon or on Goodreads or something. I don't even know how it popped up into my feed last year, and I bought it, and I've been meaning to read it, of course, all year. Anyway, but, this has to do, it's kind of showing the 50s, and then to the point of when Breakfast at Tiffany's coming out in 61. Yeah. So, it's like showing the decade before and how Hollywood and how Audrey Hepburn and Truman Capote and how they're all things that are, culminating into what happened with Breakfast at Tiffany's and how the movie got made, and its impact is what he's trying to get across. So I'm interested in this. Again, Breakfast at Tiffany's is one of those movies that I watched, I think, after I read the short story, because I'd read In Cold Blood a long time ago, and then I found Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I was like, well, yeah, I got a copy of it, and I thought, well, I should read it before I watch the movie, blah, blah, so I did that. And, again, there are some differences there, but I do, I really love the movie. I mean, the movie's, definitely one of those movies that had an impact on me when I did watch it. And, but I don't know anything about Audrey Hepburn. Like, I'm not a star watcher or someone who follows stars, and I don't usually read stuff on movie stars. I mean, there's a few exceptions, like Jean Harlow and Jane Mansfield. For some reason, there's certain ones that I will look into, and Audrey Hepburn is just not one I've looked into. So anyway, this book has a little bit about her, and I don't know anything about her, so it's very interesting on that. And then again, more on Chewy Capote, which I read a little bit about him in Furious Hours because he was Harper Lee's friend. So I'm getting that. And then it's interesting to see the Hollywood side from the producers and the writers on what they're doing to promote what a woman should be in the 50s, because I'm only in the early part of the 50s right now. So I'm kind of going to see how it progresses and how they are wondering how Audrey Hepburn will be presented when she was in Roman Holiday and how people will respond to her. So that's kind of where I stopped on the first chapter. So just very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, so it's a weird pick but again, it's like this one's for Buzz for Nonfiction November, and this one's for Time because it has an actual time on it. Anyway. And then I am in the middle of Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This is translated from the Japanese by Philip Gabriel. So this is a book I've had on my shelf for one of the longest books. I bought it in 2005 when I went to Australia, and I was so excited to get it because it was paperback, because at the time we only had the hardback in the US, and of course at the time I had read a lot of Murakami at that time. So I was all excited for his new book. I bought it, and then I never read it, and I don't know why. I mean, again, it's like 505 pages, but his bigger ones are the ones I like better. I really don't like the shorter ones. They don't do as much for me. There's something about the bigger ones are just bigger scope, I guess, and he has more time to play with stuff. I mean, there's certain things about Murakami I don't like. Like, I usually don't like his male characters talking about the female characters. Like, let's just be honest. And they're all the men are very, I don't know, a lot more sexually motivated in certain things or about their bodies than I really want to read about. But there are so many interesting, I like his you know, the magical realism, or, I can't remember what the other term I'm supposed to use, that it's kind of like that fantastical element is in these books. Winterberg Chronicle is still my favorite of his books. I really want to reread that because it has been a really long time, probably 20 years now. I don't know. It's been a long time since I read that book. And then I read several other books that I read after that before I bought this. And then for some reason I have like a kind of a dry period where I didn't read a whole lot of his stuff because I think there's a couple in there that I didn't really care for because, again, they were shorter. And then so now I want to get back, and this is my oldest one, and it's all my the long story short. So this follows a boy who's 15 who runs away from home. He's been planning this for a long time, and he finally does it. And he leaves Tokyo and he goes to the south of Japan to be in a warmer climate so he doesn't have to carry as many clothes. Smart kid. Anyway, and then we're following his adventures of him. So we get his POV of him getting down there and the people he meets, and he meets people at a little private library, and he kind of gets attached to people that are there. But there's also some weird things going on. Like, he has a moment where he wakes up in the bushes and he has blood on him, but he doesn't know why. And then there's another timeline where we're watching a guy named Nakata who is like in his 60s, and he had an accident when he was younger, and he can talk to cats. And so he's a cat finder. Everybody in the neighborhood knows he's a cat finder. Because of the accident, he cannot read or write. And so he is, living off the state now in his 60s and stuff. And so he gets a little extra by, looking for the cats. And I love that character. He's just so quirky. But there's weird things that happen with him. So, as I said, I am just almost halfway. I'm like, I'm probably about 5 pages from halfway. So I really have liked a lot about this. A lot of this has gone in ways I didn't expect, because that's typical of Murakami for me. But there was one chapter. It was the most horrific thing I've read about. Now, again, I read horror. I've read a lot of body horror ones, but it was the worst one. And for me, in a long time, I was like, not sure I was going to and I had to rush to I was reading it to just get through it. So I go, if it continues like this, we are done. I'm not doing this in this book. And it's not because it was horrific. It was grotesque. Like, it was something that I didn't want to think about. I didn't want someone to do ever. And it was horrible. And And it was just shocking. I didn't expect it, I guess. So, but then we get past it and there's an aftermath of part of that. And I'm not quite sure where it's going yet because it's been almost 50 pages since that happened. Well, maybe more than that. Yeah, maybe more. Maybe it's closer to almost 100 now since that scene. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, as long as we don't repeat it. And I was afraid something would happen because of that scene and it hasn't happened. So we'll see what happens. This one I'm kind of holding judgment on if it's going to be one of the ones I like or I don't like. Because again, him and I'm about 50-50. But there's some good interesting things in here too. Like again, I really like his writing and his quirkiness and the intellectual conversations. I admit it, I bought a book that was referenced in here. And again, I pulled one book that I want to get to this week that is from this. So it's like, anyway. So again, this is from my 5-star prediction TBR. So I was trying to get that done. I have this book and one other book to read, which I'll show it a little bit. And also it's one of my oldest books on my TBR. So it's been sitting up here all year trying to make me read it. So I'm hoping to get that done and it's for Tome Topple. Another readathon. So that is going on this last week, another week. And so I'm hoping to get at least that one done. And then my audiobook is I'm listening to Red Comet, The Short Life and Blazing Art of Sylvia Plath by Heather Clark. This is fantastic so far. I mean, I haven't read, I'm only about 60, 70 pages in. And it's 1,100 pages for the whole thing. 200 pages are notes, so it's about 900 pages for the actual book. Oh my gosh, this is, so in-depth and so talking about her life. And, again, I'm really early. I'm still in her, grade school, middle school kind of years, so we haven't got very far yet. So writes really well. Really interesting to find out about her family and things. Again, Sylvia Plath is one of those people who I'm not attracted to her or her legacy because of how she ended her life. It really is stuff in her life that was so fascinating. And again, The Bell Jar was one of those books that I read in high school that I really enjoyed, that I was surprised I would. And I've read it a couple times since then. I need to reread it now that I've read this. Probably after I finish this, I'll probably reread The Bell Jar because it's been a long time. I don't read much poetry, so I do have one of her collections, the collected poems. Found out I don't have Ariel, so I'll have to go get that. But I haven't read a lot of her poetry. Poetry is just not my thing, but I keep, hers, what I do have read, I've liked. Not that I understand it all, don't get me. She is super smart, super, super smart. And so, but I don't know how to explain it. So I have, as I said, I know a lot of people are very fascinated with her. I did buy her journals. I had one book of it, a collection of it, that I bought in college, that I read part of it. I didn't finish it. I don't remember I was in college, so I probably didn't have time to finish it. So I read half of it, and then I never finished it. And then I bought the new version that has a lot more of them. All the collected of what we had of her journals left. And then I also had bought her letters to read at some point. So anyway, Sylvia Plath, again, it's a project that I'd like to read a lot more on her, and I have stuff now. I just need to do it. But this is book, again, I got this from the library. I'm listening to an audio. I bought with my Audible credit. And her name, I think it's Sarah Fleming. I forgot to look it up. I'll do that for next time. But so far, really, really good. I'm very fascinated with her, and hearing about her life is just great. And this book is fantastic. So again, that audiobook is 46 hours long. So I'll be listening to that for quite a while. I'll probably have to take the book back to the library before I finish the audiobook, but I just wanted to get the book in case there was anything in there. And again, sometimes some of her poetry, some of the stuff is in there, so I might go back. Anyway, so that's all currently reading stuff. And again, I hate that I'm doing that right now, but again, when my mind doesn't want to settle on stuff, I know other people talk about this. They have several books going at a time so they can grab what they want. And I usually don't like that. But this year has just gotten to be that way for me. And as I said, I'm just going to do that where I'm reading a couple chapters from those 2 nonfiction books. And then I'm going to try to finish off the Kafka on the Shore today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I don't read that fast. So we're going to try to do that. But the one I want to read after Kafka on the Shore is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I was going to try to read this also because it's not very long. Oh, I think I said it was like 80 pages. 60 pages. Is that right? 60, 80? I don't know. I can't add today. Yeah. It's like 65, 70 pages. So I've never read any Kafka before myself, but again, they keep referencing it in the book. So I was like, well, I got to read something. Anyway, so I had this collection that I picked up at some point. Oh, it looks like I picked up at Pal's probably on Christmas when I had Christmas money. So I did read the first 2 pages, but I will probably restart it at some point. So, but I'm going to read about, again, he wakes up as a cockroach. Anyway, I don't know a lot about him, so I wanted to read more about him now that I'm reading a book called Kafka on the Shore. Anyway, so I'm hoping to get to this week after I finish Kafka on the Shore. And then, it just depends on when I finish Kafka on the Shore. If I finish Kafka on the Shore today, I have 250 pages. I don't think I will. The way I read it yesterday, I mean, I read 140 pages and it took me most of the day, so, or, afternoon and evening. Again, I was watching a lot of BookTube, don't get me wrong. But, if I don't finish it, so I probably finish it Monday. So it matters what time on Monday I finish it. But if I have time, I'd like to start Blackwing by Ed McDonald. This is the first book in the Raven's Mark. It's my last of my 5-star predictions that I would like to get done so I could film that video to recap that and then make a new one. Because those are fun. It takes me a year to get through them. Anyway, so this is the trilogy. It's done. So if I like it, then I can buy the other 2 books. I have not bought them. I've been really good and held off to see if I like this one. So this is more a dark fantasy where a bounty hunter goes into a place called the Misery, which is like really bad lands that have been messed up. And he's trying to find this woman who he thinks he has to bring back. And then, of course, everything goes wrong. So that's all I know about it. I've heard good things about it, and it's definitely one I've wanted to read for the last couple of years. So that's why I put on my 5-star prediction. And as I said, I all year meant to get to it and haven't done it yet. So this is going to be the next one I pick up for that if I have time. If I don't have time, it might be later in the week. But I'm just holding this up as a space holder. The next book in the Nalini Singh Guild Hunters books, Archangel's Son, is coming out on Tuesday. So I either will reread this once I got done with Kafka on the Shore, or I'll just go directly into Archangel's Son when it shows up on Tuesday evening. So we'll see. I'm sure there's going to be at least 1 or 2 Nalini Singhs this week. You know what? I just realized I read another book. Okay. This is because my reading was off this week. That's what would happen. Okay, sorry. So I was trying to figure out how that worked. Anyway, so again, these are, I don't know, this is book 10 or something of this series. Anyway, the new one is, this is 12. So the next 13 is coming out. So I'm going to read that probably, and then we'll see. So it's not a book in this series, but I read the book 19 in the Side Changeling series. I read Alpha Night again. So it was like my second reread, or the third time I read it this year. So I read that during I think when on Monday and Tuesday when my brain wouldn't settle on reading Flamebringer, and I decided I better read something, but I didn't want to read something that I hadn't read before. So I reread so that I would have something to read, and that was really comforting. I've read it now, as I said, 3 times. This is the 3rd time this year, so I really enjoyed that. So sorry, I forgot about that and whatever. Anyway, so that is all I think that's everything. Again, as I said, this last week was a hard week. I made it through. This week is more of just, I'm going to relax and do a lot of stuff around here. Again, Thanksgiving will be interesting. So if you guys have any video ideas or anything you think you want to see from me, I'm going to continue to vlog for now. We'll see how that goes. So you'll get more on my thoughts of everything as it happens probably this week than you want. I don't know. Anyway, and as I said, I don't have a whole lot of things I want to do around the house except for maybe, you know, reorganize my bookshelves. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I feel up to doing anything at all. I mean, I'll be lucky if I make burritos for lunch. Anyway, how are your guys' reading going? How are you guys doing? I know it's the times right now, as I said, we're in lockdown, you know, in a freeze or whatever for 2 weeks, and not trying to go out very much or do much. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well, and anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.